Oh, good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's edition of Sports Check with me, Richard Munga, where, of course, we get to update you on the latest in sports, whatever is happening locally or internationally, and we also get to touch on other matters, be it business, well, every other issue we're going to be dealing with here on KBC Channel 1 on Sports Check. But first, before we get into matters sports, at the moment we have media stakeholders who are discussing the safety and protection of journalists as well as the access to information. And at the moment we've had a couple of correspondents discussing the issues as we continue to celebrate World Press Freedom Day. And now we're going to dwell into that a bit. We're going to be listening into the conversation, and at the moment, Dina Ondari is speaking. Well, as you remember, is Thomas Jefferson. The media, the press is the tocsin, the signal or the alarm of a nation. When suppressed or when silenced, then the aim, or rather the great effort of a nation, is curtailed. As we continue to celebrate the World Press Freedom Day, we're going to be bringing you more updates as more stakeholders give their input into the issue. Well, now we're going to be getting into matters sports, into a first interview here on Sports Check, where we are joined by none other than Nicholas Muyoti. Of course, he's Kakamega Homeboys head coach. Kakamega Homeboys, of course, participating in the Kenya Premier League. An issue that actually has brought a lot of divided opinion. We had on one side FKF, which is the body mandated to handle all matters football in Kenya, saying that the league has been done away with, meaning that Gor Mahia have been crowned champions, as they were leading the log before all matches were suspended on earlier March. And we're going to be discussing the repercussions of that. Well, Gor Mahia being awarded the title. Well, we have KPL, the body who runs the local league, saying that they're the ones with the mandate to call off the league or suspend the league, and not FKF. And in studio, as I mentioned, we're joined by Nicholas Muyoti. I would want you, Bona Coach, to, of course, give me your opinion on the matter, considering you coach Kakamega Homeboys, which, well, is the second team on the log at the moment with a game in hand and 6 points behind Gor Mahia.
7 points.
7 points, yeah. Apologies. So kindly just an opinion into that matter before we get into other matters.
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, just based on what the Federation decided to do about the league, I think this was not a very informed decision. And as Kakamega Homeboys, I think, and some of the teams, most of the teams in the league are not happy about the decision, because what we expected was a consultative meeting, first of all, so that the position of the league can be determined. But this has not happened, and that is why we are not happy about the situation. Yeah.
Well, for the viewers, you are actually to be joined also on Zoom by FKF President, that is Nick Mwendwa. But we're going to alert you when, of course, indeed that is able, of course, to happen. But for now, Nicholas Muyoti, tell us, Kakamega Homeboys this season have actually been phenomenal. At some point, you were leading the league, actually. And what changed this season, considering the last few seasons, your performance have not been, let's say, up to par?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I joined the team last season, midway, and we had to make some changes. Basically, I came in with my philosophy, and also the team that was there. I just emphasized on working as a team and just making sure we go out there and actually express ourselves with the way to play football. And I'm happy they adapted so well, and this has brought about the good results as we're seeing. But also, I'd like to acknowledge the support of the management and the county government. They've played a key role and a big part, because with football it has to be teamwork. It's not only the technical bench or the players functioning, it has to be a group thing, and that is why we are seeing these results coming forth. Maybe before I came into the team, maybe there were some few things lacking, but at the moment I'm happy with the support the management is giving me, the support the fans are giving, and basically the region in terms of football. Western is a football region, and you realize not much has been happening in terms of winning trophy, in terms of dominance, and this is what I'd like to see there at Kakamega, that we are coming up to dominate football again, because this is a bedrock for football in Kenya. So I'm looking at it in terms of getting the best players from the local environment, interacting with the local teams, the local schools, so that we can come up with a good structure that can be very strong for the development of the game in Western.
Okay, now speaking of structures, of course, and then again you did mention a valid point that Western actually is the bedrock of Kenyan football. We have countless of players, of course, coming from there, or whether they have their roots there. We've been discussing the issue of having academies, fully fledged academies here in Kenya. And the best way, of course, is for the top tier teams they're in the best position really to kickstart that, if you get what I mean. But at the moment, Kakamega Homeboy is coming from such a region. Are we looking forward to a situation whereby you're tapping the talent of local players, be it in schools? Because even in the league, we have actually a high school student participating in the top tier league. That's actually impressive.
Very impressive.
Exactly. Now, for Kakamega Homeboys, maybe you can tell us, are there any plans that, for setup of a youth team, and how soon can we expect that?
I think, first of all, like you just mentioned, there's a player from high school. And before then, some time ago, there were so many players in high school, and they were playing the league. They were being got from high school playing. A lot of teams have these players. So it means we moved away from getting more of these players from the league and just putting them there to showcase their talent. I think what we've planned to do for a start is we are planning to partner with the schools, the local schools there. Like now we already partnered with Kakamega High School, and of course there's Green Commandos also in the league. This is where we want to nurture our talent and basically make it almost like an academy, not a fully fledged academy. Because when you're talking about a fully fledged academy, man, it's quite a lot in it. So we want to just have relationship with the local schools, the local teams there, so that we see how we can bring up these players in that environment that there is. But I think going forward, it is important that we look into also starting these academies, because if we are looking at going professional, these kids have to start from a very early age, coming up so that they can reach at the top level. Beforehand, we used to have in the 80s the Olympic Youth Academies, which were done by Zigol at that time, and it produced very many good players. I think we should emulate that, and probably now is a different time. We should be able to do it even better now that we have the counties in place. In fact, if we are going to work with the counties, especially in terms of sponsoring these teams and looking for how to bring these players together and making them train as a team, it will be very good going forward for football.
Okay. And well, if you're being honest, football, we've seen quite an improvement really in the last few seasons, even in the quality of the players participating in the top tier league, that is the Kenya Premier League. And let's dwell on you. As you mentioned, you came into the whole setup of Kakamega Homeboys midway last season. But what kind of coach exactly are you? Do you rely more on the players that you found there, or have you had to bring in more manpower that suits your philosophy, as you mentioned earlier on?
Actually, before I came to Kakamega Homeboys, I remember I was at Nzoia. We played against Kakamega Homeboys. And I could see the quality that they had. I even talked to some of the coaches and some of the players. Man, this team has the potential to win the title. The quality that is here. We drew the match, yes. But I could see how they were playing, whatever they were doing. I could already see. I didn't know that I was going to end up there. But something funny, I ended up there. And the quality that was there already, I'd spoken about it. And there was no need for bringing even more quality. It was just to work with whoever was there. Because I saw them play, and their style was quite what my philosophy. I like build up from behind. I like more attacking football. And this is what actually I came and found. And I just improved on a little more things, probably the teamwork, how to work as a team, the team spirit, team cohesion. This is what I really emphasized on, and I'm happy they took it up very, very easily and quickly, and we managed to move forward.
Okay, now, Coach, of course, we're going through what I would referred to as difficult times at the moment. The whole coronavirus, COVID-19 disease ravaging the world, that has affected all leagues really, abroad, here in Kenya, Africa, everywhere really. But at the moment, we've had reports of some federations working in the government to, of course, come up with ways to slowly bring the sport back, be it individual training or be it that, training centers shall be open to players, but, well, all that based on, testing and all that of the players. But at the moment, maybe what is the team doing? Have we seen at least, are you making sure your players, of course, are keeping fit and all that? And the team, of course, being supported by the county government, that is of Kakamega. Are we having at least, what I can call a relief? Do your players at least have that? Because as you know, there's not much money to go around in the Kenya Premier League, and we are all looking for ways. All sports stakeholders are looking for ways to at least make sure they are taken care of. So at the moment, what's the situation at Kakamega Homeboys?
I think for starters, I can't tell you that we are in a position to make sure everyone is training. That one I can't lie to you. It'll just depend on the individual player. As a coach, I think when we broke for the coronavirus thing and stuff, we told the players, you have to make sure you keep fit, and we just gave them some guidelines on what to work on, and basically I'm sure if the players are focused and concentrated with what we want at the end of the season, they will do what we requested them to do. But also told them to expect any eventuality. The league might not resume or it might resume. We have to be ready. If it's not resuming, we have to be ready to prepare for pre-season training. If it's going to resume, we're going to get back to training and continue focusing on what we had started. Yes, the situation is quite difficult for every other team in the world, let us say. Basically financially, I think it has not been easy for KPL teams, and basically most of the teams in the country. It has not, the financial situation has not been good, and that's why I was suggesting about the counties getting more involved in sports. At least with them, they can do the funding, they can do the sponsorship, and also they can also support the government in terms of employment, because actually having the teams, having the players is giving a lot of employment in terms of the local players coming up and stuff. So I mean, it's a bad situation, and maybe just my request to the government and to the sports world to come in and support the players, because it's a very difficult time psychologically and basically whatever the basic needs the players requires, because at the moment most of the players get these allowances during matches. If they win matches, they draw matches, these things are not coming by. Players right now in a situation whereby they'll just be waiting for their salaries, and maybe if clubs decide to cut on their salaries, it will be very bad, because especially in fact they'll make the situation even more difficult for the players. It's just about looking at ways we can support these players at this moment, at this time. It's a difficult time. We'll need the players when it's all gonna be well, and we'll need them when they're fit and ready to play. So it is important that their welfare is looked at this moment.
Okay. Now, last week, besides the announcement in regards to the league, of course, being done away with, there was quite some good news, I may say that. Betika, of course, the betting firm, partnered with Football Kenya Federation and the Ministry of Sports to at least make sure the players are taken care of. It was a deal worth around 5.2 million shillings. And in that deal, we have NSL players and KPL players getting at least 5,000 shillings each to at least caution them from the effects of COVID-19. But as a coach maybe, and as a football stakeholder, what more can you say at least can be done at the moment, besides, because we are not sure if that is a sustainable model, truth be told. So maybe what more can we do, other means that you can think of to at least make sure the footballers are actually taken care of? Relatively using that.
I think first of all I'd like to thank Betika and probably the federation, the government, for making sure that players at least get something. But also, this is a big lesson for us, because I was just trying to think about it. If such a situation occurs and players are left in this condition, I mean, it isn't good for the sports, because we have to look into like starting a sports fund whereby we can have a kitty where we have some money in case of an emergency. I mean, this money can be removed, but at the moment we don't have that. And this is, like you said, for the stakeholders to come maybe together and make sure we're having it. When the sponsors are coming in, these are some of the things the sponsors should know, that we need that kind of kitty in case of an emergency. Yeah, the players don't have to go through a rough time like they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now plans for next season, seeing as to, at the moment, the uncertainty, looming. We might not continue with the league. We might. No one knows. All we can do now is look forward to next season. So maybe plans for next season, because if the season is done away with at the moment, that means that you've narrowly missed out on the title, as I mentioned. 47 points compared to Gor Mahia's 54.
Yeah.
And Gor Mahia has played 22 games. You've played 23 games. You've played one less. That is 22 games.
Yeah.
So maybe where do we pick off from next season?
I think also the same situation. Tusker are also gameless. They are 46 points behind us. Basically, the 6 teams have a chance. If the league continues, they can be able to win the championship. I think before the pandemic started, I already had my calculations, because I'd already said, okay, if the league is resuming, I have a program for that. If the league is not going to resume, I have a program for pre-season. So I'm already prepared. I am ready for anything. But the most important, and I'd like to urge maybe the stakeholders of football, is that whatever decision that has been made is not fair for the players, for the coaches, and the football fraternity.
Yes.
Because we need a consultative decision to be made. I mean, players consulted, coaches, referees, all the guys who are involved. And then after that is when they can come up with a decision that, yes, the league we've stopped the league because of 1, 2, 3, 4. We are continuing the league because of 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what we expected, but this has not happened. And I believe we are in a democratic society,
Yes,
and
true.
people can discuss, and then we come up with an amicable solution that, of course, it won't favor everybody, but it will be a solution that has been reached by stakeholders of football.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into our second interview today, it actually just hit me, Coach, before I release you.
Yeah.
You are a Kenyan international. You've played football for the country, for different clubs here in the country.
Yes.
And as you know, we have different, we have a couple of options when it comes to ending the league.
Yeah.
Of course, the club says, most clubs, including Kakamega Homeboys, their position is that, well, it's not fair really to just say the league has ended at the moment.
Yeah.
And there's the other complication of, well, it's not FKF who should be saying that, as some are claiming at the moment.
Yeah.
But we have a couple of options to explore in regards to ending the league. But maybe I'm being informed that Nick Mwenda we can actually get the chance to talk to Nick Mwenda about the same issue. So kindly, we would want to explore the options that we have at the moment. We have ending the league and crowning the league as champions.
Yeah.
And then again, we can use the first half of the league.
Yeah.
You do remember that?
Yes.
And you guys are actually quite in a good position for that, to clinch the league. And maybe, according to you, as a former player, maybe what would you rather have the situation looking like?
I think, as a person, I wouldn't make that decision. Yeah, because when you look at the way things are, and even around the world, you can see what is happening to the EPL. They're not just making that decision. The players' body is being consulted. The technical staff is being consulted, and then they will come with a conclusion. Because it's not an issue that you can just come up and say, this and this is going to happen. People must know why. Okay, we know maybe like the federation made their decision about the league, maybe because of pressure from CAF. But I know CAF are also in this situation, and they'll probably extend the deadlines for handing over the names for those for the teams that are going to represent their countries. So there was no need to rush into this decision. Consultation must have been made, and me as a person, I think I'm not in a position to make that decision. Yeah.
Okay, now kindly, if let's get the opinion, of course, and the league's position, the federation's position, that is Football Kenya Federation, and we're joined by Nick Mwendo. Of course, Nick, kindly, if you can hear me. Yeah,
you hear me?
Nick, since last week after you announced that you've done away with the Kenya Premier League season and of course handing Gor Mahia the title, there has been a bit of backlash from different stakeholders maybe, and at the moment, if you could clarify, do we have a situation whereby the federation is in talks, is in deliberations with KPL, the company that runs the league, to decide how the league, maybe if we can have another way of ending the league besides the announcement, the official position of the federation that, of course, you announced on Thursday last week?
So the situation is already closed. We are already past that, my friend.
Okay, so kindly, would you please bring us up to date with the current situation?
Yeah, we issued a communication on Thursday about status of the leagues and what we're going to do, and I'm sure you got that, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are gone past that issue. There's a regulation in place, and that regulation is what we have used.
So would you kindly expound on that kindly?
So basically, if you look at our regulations, you will see that if you played in a league and the league did not start or played 3 matches or 2 matches, you have not reached half of that league. Regulations say that we should cancel that league. So we have done that for the Women Premier League, which had played only 1 league. Secondly, if your league has played 50% of matches, then we go with a standing as per 50% of matches, which is what we have done for all the other leagues, because leagues had not played 75% of matches, but they had played 50% of matches.
Okay.
So it is not practical for us to conclude these matches in the time that is remaining. So it is very clear, and I think you would understand that. Because we are not going to go back to playing until July, practically. Players need about 3 weeks to train and then go back to the pitch. The remaining matches will need about 2 months to play. And after that, our regulations say that we should at least give them 60 days. That brings us to November. So it's not practical. Timeline. So in that regard, we have handed in Gor Mahia as a champion of our league. We shall wait for a few weeks. Once we confirm that we cannot play, then we shall not give any team for the cup. And then we have also promoted and relegated in all other leagues. And that's the position of FKF. That's the official position. There's no other position. And we have communicated this to everybody.
Okay. Now, Nick, of course, before you leave, kindly, as we've seen all around the world, all around the globe, we've had different federations, of course, in talks with the government on the best time possibly, if at all we can be able to guarantee the safety of everyone. In regards to, we've had a couple of leagues saying at least they've projected a certain date that they can try and get the players back to training and all that. So maybe do we have similar discussions in place at the moment?
No, we don't. In Africa, we have no way of determining that. For example, the German Bundesliga is planning to go back to play. What it means is that they're going to play in closed-door environments. And when they play closed-door, they will not only play closed door, but they will be also closed in their hotel, so they cannot go home. So they stay in the hotel, you stay closed in your hotel, you play the game, and you come back again in the hotel. You don't even go home to your family. In Kenya or Africa, we do not have that possibility that Gor Mahia plays at Kasarani, against Madare, and then both teams are checked in a hotel to wait for their next game. We can't even afford it. We're in a situation where we can't even afford the normal situation. So because of that, and the requirements that have been put out by FIFA, is that football cannot be played before August. That's what FIFA is saying, FIFA Health Team. So based on that, we are saying that it's very clear. And we are among the few federations in the world who had a rule and a regulation in place. Now people are saying, have we talked, have we done this? Whenever we have, and Muyoti should tell you, whenever you have a red card on the pitch, do we hold a meeting to ask whether that guy will go out or stay in? We don't do that because it's in the regulations. Once something is in the regulations, you execute it. What we have done is look at the regulations. There are regulations. We have used the regulations.
We seem to be having a bit of a technical issue right there, but you've heard it from Nick Mwendo, of course, the president, that is Football Kenya Federation president. And, well, Nicholas, having, of course, gotten a chance to hear that, I mean, personally, it does seem that the federation has a legit point. So I think, according to you, would you say that all that remains now is for us to prepare for next season?
I think it's very good he's talking about regulation, and I'm happy about that. Who is mandated to run the league, the top league in Kenya?
That is KPL.
KPL is mandated to do that. I mean, these are the first people you should consult before making any decision like this. Okay, we know there are rules and regulations, but KPL is mandated to run the league, the top league in Kenya. If it was a decision about the other leagues, I'd be okay with that. Okay, because they're the ones running that league. But this is a league run by KPL, and they should be consulted about any decision that is going to be made.
Well, thank you very much, Nicholas Muyoti. It usually comes to it's a really hard conversation when it comes to the mandate of KPL, and of course you have Football Kenya Federation, who are recognized by FIFA to run all football matters in the country. Always a thin line when it comes to that discussion. But up next, we're going to be talking to a sports lawyer, so maybe he can just shed a bit of light on, the way forward, because honestly, we're tired of the constant wrangles between KPL and FKF, and we're going to get the legal standing on that. And well, thank you very much, Nicholas Muyoti, for your time here at Sports Check on KBC Channel 1. Now, for the viewers, we're going to be taking you to the Railways Club, where unions representing health workers in public hospitals are actually announcing the next course of action following biased promotion of health professionals. And my colleague, Sarafina Robi, is at hand, is on location to give us the latest on that. Let's listen in kindly.
During this critical time, because we know this coronavirus pandemic is a national security to this country. We can suffer from this, our parents, our children. It is responsible for the government not to give audience to health workers. We are representing over 50,000 health workers in this country. Last time we were called to appeals by the permanent secretary, and we were not given, we sought audience so that we can be able to solve our issues very amicably in a very diplomatic manner, because we know we know what it takes for this disease and what it takes for health workers to down their tools. In fact, doctors who form part of the 18 health professionals was discriminatorily promoted, and other health care workers are left alone at this critical moment when we are facing such a huge task. I think that is provocation. We take it as a provocation by the government to do selective discrimination. Thank you.
Asante sana. Sasa nitamwalika katibu wa Kenya Union of Clinic Officers aweze kutupatia ile statement kwa lugha ya Kiswahili.
Asante ndugu mwenyekiti. viongozi wenzangu, wanahabari na Wakenya wenzangu, hamjamboni. Kwa wakati wa sasa, sisi kama viongozi wa wahudumu wa afya tumeweza kuja hapa kutoa ilani yetu kwa yale mambo ambayo tumeweza kupeleka kwa viongozi wa Ministry ya Health na hawajaweza kutimiza. Sisi kama vile ilivyotajwa, tuko pamoja na viongozi wote wa huduma za kiafya. Hapa tumesema kwamba tuko the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, yani chama cha kutetea wahudumu wa maafisa tabibu. Hiyo imenipotelea. Tunasema maafisa tabibu. Alafu pia tuko na chama cha kutetea wauguzi, kuna chama cha kutetea wana mahabara, na pia kuna nutrition, na wengine pia kwa jumla kuna kile chama cha Kenya Health Professional Society, na pia kuna wanafamasia. Basi tumeweza kupeleka barua zetu za ilani kwa ofisi ile ya waziri wa afya, waziri wa leba, na pia kuna counties wote wameweza kupelekewa. Kenyatta, MTRH, that's Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Hao wote ni waajiri wetu na tumewatambua hivyo, including Nairobi Metropolitan. Kwa hivyo ilani yetu kwa pamoja imeweza kusema kwamba kuna zile matakwa tulipeleka kwa ministry hizi zote na hazijaweza kutekelezwa. Nitazitaja alafu kisha ndivyo nitaweza kuchangia. Ya kwanza ni ile ambayo tumesema posho kwa wanaafya, ile ambayo ni posho ya ridhaa kwa wale ambaye ni the health risk allowance, inaitwa posho ama marupurupu za wanaafya wote. Tumesema kwamba wale ambaye ni first line defense, wale ambaye ni wahudumu wa afya kwa line ya kwanza, hawajaweza kupewa ili posho ambayo ndio ya hatari, na wameweza kuonekana wakiadhirika na huu ugonjwa kwa muda huu ambapo tuko na corona 19. Na sasa tumesema hivi, lazima serikali iweze kuangalia haya mambo kwa muda mchache ambao umebaki, ama masiku yale ambayo tumewapatia, kwa sababu tulikuwa tumewapatia masiku na zikaisha. Tumewaongezea siku zingine 14 waweze kutekeleza matakwa haya ya kuainisha hili posho la wanaafya kufuatana na ile tunaita health risk allowance. La pili ni promotion ama nyongeza ya cheo katika kazi. Hii tumesema pia lazima ifanywe. Kuna watu wameweza kuhudumu kwa cheo kimoja ama kwa nyadhifa moja kwa miaka zaidi ya 15. Na tukiona ministry wakati huu wamepewa hela ya kuweza kuwasupport health workers na kuwapromote. Selectively wameweza kupromote one cadre na wameacha wengine wote. Na tukiangalia in line of defense, wale ambao wamepewa consideration, they are third in defense. Kwa hivyo hiyo tumesema ni lazima ifanywe chini ya masiku 14, na hiyo ndio ilani yetu. Ingine ni ile mikataba ambayo wameweza kuleta ambayo inakiuka sheria zile zilizopo. Hizi mikataba tumesema lazima zifutiliwe mbali. Kwa wakati huu ambapo ni hatari sana kwa kila mtu, wanaafya wanatumika kama kinga kukinga wananchi wote hapa Kenya na pia ulimwenguni kote. Na kwa sasa watu wanalipwa shilingi.
Well, of course, we're going to be having a more comprehensive report on that issue, and my colleague, Serafina Robi, will be compiling that report for the 1 p.m. bulletin, the 7 p.m. bulletin, and of course, Channel 1 News Hour, that is at 9 p.m. Now, let's get back to matters sports. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be joined by a sports lawyer, and in studio we have, apologies, of course, we have Ngarwa Kamuya, and well, Ngarwa, we're going to be, and Ngarwa, you wear different hats, many hats, so I'm going to be engaging you on a point as a sports lawyer.
Yeah.
And on the other point, as a sports analyst. So kindly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would like to, kickstart the interview with a comment from you as a sports lawyer on the issue you've had. I was talking to Nicholas Muyoti, that is Kakamega Homeboys head coach, and I was talking to Football Kenya Federation chairman, that is Nick Mwendo.
Yeah.
And, well, you had Nick's views. He said that is the official stand. The league is over. No footballing activities can go on. Of course, we understand that due to the pandemic. But what can you say about the constant wrangles between KPL and FKF? KPL says they were not consulted in the decision to end the league, but then again, FKF is mandated to run football matters in the country. So where do we find the balance there?
I think this is a common thing in Kenyan sports. Everyone is trying to show their influence or to stamp their foot in whatever sport it is, by the way. It's not only football. Of course, football, it's blown up because it's the biggest sport in the country.
True.
But in most of the sports in this country, that's the biggest issue, and that's why you always have these wrangles. Now, granted, I understand where KPL are coming from, in that they were not consulted, and ideally they're the ones who run the Premier League. But like you've said, FKF are the ones who are mandated. At the end of the day, the governing body is FIFA in the world. And FIFA recognizes FKF. They do not recognize KPL. Now, I think it's more an issue of tact as opposed to the stand, because if I was in Nick Mwenda's position, the regulations are very clear. The FKF constitution is very clear about what happens in the event that a league is not completed. And I think if we're going to interpret it from a perspective of did he follow what is laid down in the statute, yes, he did. But the issue is how he handled it, and that is what I'm getting here. Because if I was in his position, I would have sat down with KPL and told them, look, guys, it's going to be difficult to continue with this league because we didn't expect COVID to come. From a legal perspective, it's what they refer to as force majeure. It's an act of God. It's an unforeseen circumstance. And it is for this reason that there is need to cancel the league. Now, why is there a need to cancel the league? It's how he's broken it down. And that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. This conversation was not had with KPL in terms of, okay, look, guys, before football comes back, we're talking about August. You know how it's explained in terms of the German Bundesliga. The German teams can afford to continue with the league as it is behind closed doors. But you've heard of the things behind the scenes that will have to happen in terms of them being quarantined in the hotels until the league is over. Can we afford to do that? No,
yes, we can't.
We cannot afford to do that. So I think from a regulations perspective, yes, he was right. I just think it's execution, because you have very many parties now here. You have KPL, you have FKF. You need to sit down and say, look, guys, we are not going to be able to continue with this thing, and this is the reason why. Before football comes back, we're talking about July, August. You also have to factor in, that COVID hit us later than it hit Europe. So the Bundesligas and the Premier League actually shut down a bit, weeks before, but it hit Europe before it hit us. So chances are that it might die down there before it dies down here.
Exactly.
So those are the things I would have expected him to sit down and talk with KPL. And from what I'm getting, it's just it's ego. It's an ego battle between FKF and KPL.
Well, you see, some stakeholders allege that the matter goes deep because the Sports Disputes Tribunal a while back did away with the FKF elections are supposed to be this year, and we had a couple for certain regions. And actually that was done away with. And also in the ruling, apparently FKF's mandate is actually over. So do you think KPL are actually exploiting that?
That ruling, is also very weird, I might say that. And the reason I say that is because FIFA have been very clear. In terms of even statute, from a dispute resolution perspective, SDT is not recognized. The Sports Dispute Tribunal is not recognized. Neither is it recognized as a national tribunal by FIFA, right? So the first thing FIFA came out saying is that, look, we're not bound by whatever ruling the SDT comes up with. And that's why they did away with the issue of the normalization committee. Now, FIFA also raised some very valid points. They said this whole case before the tribunal is on the election body. And I mean, there are issues of conflict, there are issues of the election code in itself. I mean, when it was ratified at the General Assembly in January and all that. FIFA's argument is, was the General Assembly in January constituted well? Yes, it was. And therefore, the election code is good, right? We should be abiding by it. But the other side is making noise and saying there was no public participation. There was no, I mean, there's conflict of interest with one of the people who sits both at the tribunal and the election body, and that's the issue that's coming up. Now, these are the shenanigans I keep wondering, when are they going to stop in sports?
Exactly, and I need your opinion on this.
Yeah.
When will we finally have that harmony when it comes to these guys running the leagues and the federations? Because it can't always be, you know, I say this, you say this. No, I'm in a better position to say this, you can't tell me this. And then again, it contributes to the attitude that corporates have towards sports in the country.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, let's say you're a company owner, you own maybe one of the biggest telecoms in the country.
Yeah.
You can't simply invest in a sport whereby you don't really know who's really saying...
Who's calling the shots?
Exactly.
The biggest issue for me is I get the feeling that about 90% of the people who are running sports in this country are not running sports out of passion. It's a stepping stone to something else. Politics, whatever it is, it's a stepping stone to something else.
Yeah.
Or access to money. It's them to tell us.
Yeah.
I always get that feeling. And as long as that is the issue, then you can be sure that these wrangles are going to continue. Because what they never tell us is that they're fighting for something under.
Yeah.
That's what never comes out. I'm not saying politics doesn't happen. It happens. I mean, even in the most professional of leagues, it happens. But you see, one thing that the Western leagues have been able to do very well is they realize that, number one, okay, fine, we are here because of the English Premier League. We are here because of the Bundesliga. We are here because of League 1. What we know is, without this league, we are not existent. Therefore, we have to protect the brand, and the brand is football, is the league. Our guys don't seem to understand that.
Okay.
And that is why these wrangles will always be there. Yeah.
Okay, now I think we're done with your input as the sports lawyer.
Yeah.
So kindly now, as a sports analyst, you can throw in a bit of law there if you please. It's an issue that I don't think has been discussed enough. It's on matters of maybe it's maybe quite not the right time for it. But then again, on Friday, there was a case ruling in the United States that actually did away with a case that the women's soccer team had actually filed, claiming that, well, there should be equal pay in football. And if you're being quite honest, this actually comes down to not only the United States, it's different countries really. We know the attitude towards men's sports as compared to women's sports. I would like your opinion on that, and really, at what time can we, because different participants, people involved on both ends, claim that, hey, this cannot happen because maybe revenue that is brought in is not reflected when it comes to women football. So maybe
for me, it's a commercial. It's a purely, and it's unfortunate, but it's a commercial decision. Now, I'll look at it at the US and then come out.
Yeah.
And look at it at US football and then come out. Now, anyone who's followed US women's football will know that the US have been the most dominant team.
Yeah, it's true.
From the days of Mia Hamm in the 90s to the next generation of Abby Wambach and to the current generation of Meg Rapinoe. And this actually started in the days of Abby Wambach, when Abby Wambach was leaving the US team. I think she retired in 2016. Yes, she retired in 2016 after they won the 2015 World Cup. And that's why they brought up this issue of equal pay. Now, this is what they are looking at in the US. Which is the most popular team of the two? It's a women's national team. Which is the most successful of the two?
Obviously,
it's a women's. Which is the most attractive? Okay, MLS is now attractive, but which has been the most attractive league of the two over a longer period? It's been the women's league. And that's where they are coming from. They're like, look, we need to get the recognition, or we need to be paid the same amount, if not more, as compared to the men. Now, the men, and actually the ruling that happened, what USA Soccer were able to prove is that in the last 4 years, the women have actually earned more than the men.
And I can actually give you the figures on that, actually, because it's actually quite unbelievable.
Yes.
Which begs the question, does the team have a problem, have an issue with the United States Soccer Federation or with FIFA? Because according, as you say, the USSF, that is the United States Soccer Federation, says in between 2015 to 2019, women earn more on both the cumulative and average per game basis.
Yes.
The team, the women's team, the national team received $24 million and an average of $220,747. That is per game.
Yes.
While the men's team received payments of $18 million and $212,639 per game.
Yes.
So that's why I'm asking, is the issue really with the US Federation or is it with FIFA? Considering, you see, the thing is, with the figures actually don't lie. They're being quite honest.
Yes.
2014, Germany took home the men's team, $35 million for winning the World Cup.
Yes.
We have had France, the recent champions, taking home $38 million.
Yeah.
But then again, the United States women's team, which won the World Cup in 2015 and 2019.
Yeah.
Can you guess how much they received for both tournaments?
It must be the figures that you just told me.
Not over $6 million.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, sorry. Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's from FIFA and then there's from your own local federation. So in terms of USSF, they're receiving the money that they deserve. And like we've seen, they're receiving more money than the men's side of the game. Now, from a global perspective, of course, the biggest issue is which is the biggest revenue earner. And I see this elsewhere. I think what FIFA must be working on and what the Megan Rapinoes and, the US women's team should be working on is pushing the brand to a point where, from a commercial perspective, it's as lucrative for me to sponsor the women's game.
Or even to watch.
Or to watch the women's game as it is to watch the men's game. That's the biggest issue. And that's what, and I know in the US it's been a very big fight. That's what the late basketball star Kobe Bryant was doing in terms of trying to voice for women's pay. But I think it's from a commercial perspective, what I should be pushing is make the women's game attractive enough to pull in just the same money as the guys' brand. Because truth is, from an athletic perspective, I don't think it's very different. What I see Abby Wambach doing, or what she used to do, is the same thing I saw Van Persie doing. So it's just a matter of make it attractive for guys to be sitting to watch these games. And then, everyone is entitled to equal pay at that point.
Okay. And now, of course, Nero, we are short of time, so maybe parting shot in regard to that and how that can be replicated in other leagues and other federations all across the country. World, rather.
The world, I've already said about marketing the game. And the big thing about the world is that in most of these countries, it's very developed, the men's sport. But the problem in Africa is that, and let me speak about Kenya, the problem is that we just don't look at sports from a business perspective. And that's the biggest issue. So we need to sort out house. We have an advantage in that the men's game hasn't even taken off. So we have a chance to grow both games together. But goes back to what we've talked about initially with the people who are running sports in this country. I have my doubts about that.
And to how soon that can actually come into fruition.
Yes.
Mr. Kamuya, thank you very much for giving us the time here on Sports Check on KBC Channel 1. And of course, thank you for the viewers who have been with us for the show. And that's it for Sports Check today. But don't go too far, because Tamrini is coming up next with none other than Nancy Okware. So kindly, we're going to be joined by her shortly. Apologies. At the moment, Seth Panyako, of course, is on the earlier issue. He's addressing the media. So kindly, if we can get to listen into that.
Has never been dealt with. I am not a coward. You are born once and you die once. Hakuna mtu anakufa kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. I have a right to ask questions for those who do not have the mouths to ask. Your Excellency, tell us. Why all graft in the Ministry of Health? No one is prosecuted. No one is sent home. It continues. People stole money belonging to mothers. They stole money belonging to children. They stole money belonging to HIV patients. And they have walked out scot-free. The only thing they caught was a transfer to other ministries. And that is what's going to happen today. They are telling us, oh, there is communication, 70 million. Oh, there is airtime, 6 million. Together, 76 million. When you calculate that money for 40 days, actually 1 billion was being used in a day. Your Excellency, we support you. We support your Big Four agenda. But I want to say, we will not sit back, fold our hands, sit on them when Kenyans are suffering. Hatutakubali. Mukoma upo, utaanza tarehe 18 ikiwa kama yale ambao tumesema hayatatekelezwa. Na tutakuwa tuko tayari kwa mazungumzo. Kuanzia sasa mpaka tarehe 17 saa 5 na dakika 59. Kwa saa 6 na dakika 1 tarehe 18 mwezi huu tutaanza mgomo. Asanteni.
Thank you. We can have the G as a
take questions. Let him take questions.
No, let him
Hamjambo nyote. Comrades power. Comrades power. Mwanzo wa ngoma ni nini? Ni lele. Na lele ndio hii.